Thrifty Apprentice, and welcome back to another Thrifty review. Let me start off by apologizing first if I'm raspy in this video or any previous videos. I am currently battling a sinus infection, so I ask that you guys just please bear with me. Today we are taking a look at the Phoenix Artist Watercolors. Now, this has a little backstory. I originally passed ad for the Phoenix Artist Watercolors on Google, if I'm not mistaken. This has been some time ago. I really didn't pay much attention to it. Just kind of skimmed over it. It's like, okay, maybe one day I'll be interested in ordering those. They popped up again when I was searching for paints on Amazon, and what popped up was this 12 tube set. I was like, okay, I remember seeing that once before, so I went to YouTube and I wanted to look for some reviews, because I'm thinking to myself, I'm looking at something that's listed as Artist Watercolors that has a price tag of about $10 attached to it, and I just thought that was pretty unbelievable. Now on YouTube I could only find reviews on this brand's half pan sets. Ironically enough, I could not find any half pan sets available for sale at the current moment on Amazon or through any of the other resources. I even went to their website and I could only find tubes. Now, if I'm overlooking it or if I missed it, then I apologize. If you guys could source it, or if you figure out where you could possibly get the half pan sets for this brand, please let me know in the comment section, because I would actually like to test those out as well. So I decided to go ahead and order them. It wasn't but $10, and I figured, if all else fails, I could just, give the paints away, and it wouldn't be no big loss. It wasn't a whole lot of money. I decided to go ahead and watch those half pans reviews, and I kind of got excited about what I had ordered until I actually got the paints. And that's not to say that I regret ordering them. I'm just saying I feel a little differently now than I did in the beginning when all of this transpired and took place. First things first, Phoenix Art Group is a company based out of China. They were originally started in 1995. Their art material division was. And then in 2004, they launched the division that actually produces paints. So they've been around for a minute. And Phoenix also happens to private label for other smaller companies. So they'll produce the paints for a lot of these independent budget companies that you see like on Amazon that don't produce their own products. So there's just a little backstory to what we're looking at here. So they come in this cardboard box, which is pretty straightforward. This is 12 fine watercolors. I did research and find out that there are 48 colors in this artist range for the tubes. And you can, right now, I've seen them available in the 12 set and the 24 set, but again, no pans, just tubes. 8 milliliters, 0.27 US fluid ounces per tube, and it simply says Watercolors Artist by Phoenix. Now there is a QR code here that you can use the transparency app to scan, and it basically gives you this whimsical description of the paints to make you pretty much believe they're the best things that were ever given to an artist. It's a pretty funny read if you ever get to use the transparency app and scan that. The same information is listed on all of the side panels. Nothing different. Flipping over on the back of this box, it says Phoenix Artist Watercolors 12 times 8 milliliter tubes, and then it gives a description in several different languages. The English version saying that they are highly pigmented, they're transparent, and that they diffuse well. It's a smart choice for amateurs and artists, inspiring anywhere, anytime. Phoenix Art Group, Shuyang Phoenix Art Paints Company, which is the division I was telling you was launched in 2004. Then, of course, it gives their website and lets you know that this is produced and made in China. There is the conforms to ASTMD 4236, so we know that they're non-toxic and that they are safe. And it does say Phoenix Artist Grade Professional Paints. I don't know if you guys can see that. So that's pretty much what the box looks like. Let me zoom out just a little bit here, and we will take a look at the tubes themselves. So you got 12 tubes, standard tube. This is plastic with filming on it to make it look like, it might be metal. It's like aluminum. It's not, yeah, maybe it's like aluminum. So it has a screw-on cap. There is no foil covering the paints when you get them. The consistency of the paints was pretty well. I did shake them before putting them out in the palette, and I'll show you guys that in a moment, because I do like to squeeze my tube paints out into pans and half pans and let them dry down, because I actually like painting from pans. And I would have ordered the pans if I could find them, but the tubes was all that I could find at the time that I placed the order. So front of the tube will tell you watercolors. It gives you the stock number for the color based on the company, the color name in several different languages, this one being the cad yellow hue. And that is one of the first things that caught my attention about this being labeled as a professional artist grade paint. They're using hues, and I would suspect or would like to think that if these were true artist grade paints, especially on the cadmiums, they would be using true cad. They wouldn't be using a hue. Oh, guys, forgive me, you hear my other phone go off in the background. So, and it's still tagged and labeled artist, but even being that, I don't think that they would be using a hue, but that's just my opinion. Flipping it over on the back of the tube, you're going to get the safety regulation information that is made in China. Once again, it gives you the information about the Phoenix Art Group, and it's going to give you the light, fast, and pigment information. Now, the permanence on this particular one is A, and the pigment is PY97 and PY65. We're going to get into that a little bit more. I just wanted you to note that information is listed on the tubes. So that's pretty much that information, straightforward. Nothing fancy smashy about it. Pretty normal tubes, pretty normal packaging. And I'm going to show you guys what I do with it. I'll straighten those up later, because those are more than likely going to come out of that box and go into a bag anyway. So I ordered an empty full pan set off of Amazon, and this is my art tool. They make some really good, I mean, and they're affordable, and they normally come like within a day's time. So I just took those paints and swatch sheet, dried them down into full pans, and that's how I've been painting with them. Now, for all intents and purposes, they dry down really, really well. I experience very minimum cracking in them. They don't have a weird gloopy consistency, but they do have like a bit of a sheeny film on top of them, which kind of reminded me of some other paints, but we're going to get into that a little later on in this video. So, and I just want to show you guys how I dry them down. And we're going to be referring back to that in a minute. Of course, I make a swatch sheet to go on the inside of each one of my tins. I've been doing that lately anyway. That way I could quickly refer to the colors that I'm using, just in case I'm not around my big swatch sheet. So, speaking of, let's take a look at the swatches for the paints. All right, so here we have the, zoom out some more. Here is the swatch sheet for the paints. These are the Phoenix Artist. See if I can adjust my lighting here so it doesn't blind you guys too much. I hope you guys are able to see that. Let's see. There we go. That should be better. So you have 12 colors. For the most part, 12 nice, kind of vibrant, intense colors, especially when they're wet. There is a little drying shift between the wet and the dry, but not a huge one. Now, of the 12 colors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So over half of them are single pigment colors. So that's pretty good for a starter set. They do have some convenience mixes in here. I didn't understand some of the colors that were put in here, like for instance, the emerald green. I don't really get the cerulean blue. I didn't really get, I would have opted more for probably like a phthalo blue or phthalo green. They would have made better for mixing. I do like the fact, I did like the hunter's green that was in the set. It could be mixed with the yellows to make different variations. You can even use that hunter greens probably to make a sap green if you needed to. Now, from the swatches, there wasn't any chalkiness. They were pretty level as far as that goes, and there was a bit of granulation, just a little bit in the ultramarine blue. There's a little bit in the hooker's green deep, and there was also a little bit in the burnt umber. Now, there's an Indian red instead of a burnt sienna. I personally would have, but the pigment number for the Indian red is PR101, which is what I'm normally used to having as a pigment number for my burnt siennas. So that was fine. So overall, pretty cool. Permanent rose, PV19. I I don't know. It's again overall pretty good selection of colors. Again, they're using the word hue, so that automatically lets me know that these, are probably not true artist grade. They're probably a really good student grade. And after looking at this and looking at the way they swatched out, looking at the way they layered, because they did layer pretty well, they really started to remind me of some other paints that I had used. So let's take a look at some of the color mixing and some of the tests that I did on the paints. So I did a warm and a cool primary mix, and then I did cool and warm mixing and warm and cool mixing, and then I also did a brown mixture down here. So let's start off with the fact that the paints took really well to salt. I was able to get some texture with a really wet wash and using salt in it for a good effect. So on the color mixing itself, the warm end of the scale gave me some okay colors. Green was pretty decent. You can actually mix better greens than what actually come in the set, which is normally always the case. The violets that I was able to make was okay. That violet turned out to be a little bit more gray, and it could be because of the paper. This is a mixed media paper that this is done on. These were swatched out on watercolor paper. This swatch is done out on watercolor paper, and you can actually kind of see the difference in the color. So that does let you know that the paints are going to give you a different feel and a different payoff depending on the type of paper that you use. I'll go ahead and tell you right off the bat, I feel like the best paper to use these on is 100% cotton. You're going to be able to, you're going to get to see why I say that in just a moment. But back to the mixing. The warms gave me more vibrant colors. I actually love that permanent rose color, and when it's in its heavier consistency. Not the prettiest color to me when it's watered down, but it's just my opinion. Pretty decent browns and blacks. More of a black with the warm. Wasn't able to achieve a brown that I was really happy with. And on the, on the cools, and then on the warms, I got a pretty warm brown. It's been faded, and mine, this is not old. I just did these color swatches, or this particular color swatch sheet about a week ago now. So that's a big color shift from what I remember when I originally mixed it. But again, it could have a lot to do with the paper, because this color swatch sheet is older than this mixing sheet, and these colors are still really nice and vibrant. So I probably wouldn't recommend these to be used on a mixed media paper. So if you're just a mixed media artist and all you use is mixed media, I was about to say these probably wouldn't work for you, but you more than likely, if you're a mixed media artist, you're not going to be doing a standalone watercolor painting, so scratch that, right? Colors mix pretty cleanly. They mix pretty well. The opacity of them is pretty transparent, even with the mixes. I actually saved the transparency test up until I knew I was mixing different single pigment shades together. And there is no haziness at all, though that really clean. So they mix cleanly. They have some pretty vibrant colors. They react well to salt. They did not get muddy or anything like that. Now, I did not do a lift test by itself, but I did do a lift test while I was doing some paintings with it. So let's take a look at some of the things that I've done with these to help me come to the conclusions that I have about this paint. First thing I did was, and I was originally shooting a demo for this, and I decided, like, almost to the end, that there was just too many things that went on with that video, and I wasn't. And then I wasn't really happy with the painting either. I wasn't really happy with the complete outcome of it. But I did this compilation of fruits, and it was kind of the end to a bunch of different individual fruit paintings that I had been doing on the channel. And I just kind of wanted to throw a bunch of them in one together so I could, like, okay, move on, Ken, let go of the fruit and start painting something else. So this was the kind of the final painting for that. Now, this is the Phoenix Watercolors along with Fantasia watercolor pencils. So I was sure not to use anything other than the water soluble products or watercolor products. And the paints performed really well. This is the Strathmore watercolor travel pad. This is the 100% cotton paper, and this is where I was telling you I thought the paints performed really well and really beautifully. I was able to lift when I needed to lift in order to get back to the white of the paper for highlights. When I didn't want them to lift, they stayed in place for glazing, because I had to do glazing on the grapes, which you can see has several different colors in it. They took well to blending with the watercolor pencils, which is kind of, you can see in the juice pockets for the orange slices. And I was able to get great detail. I was just really happy. I'm not extremely happy overall with the way the entire painting came out, but I was happy with the way that the paints were allowing me to do what I needed to do while I was trying to do this. So, do what I needed to do while I was trying to do that. Whew, said a lot in. The next thing I did was a color study where I tried using the browns, and I told you guys I've been pushing myself to do landscapes more. So I did this little color study where I did a landscape scene, and it turned out okay. Now this is, let's say about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks old now, and you can see the shift in the colors from when it was originally done. Now, they will probably be really, really good for sketchbook work. I'm not sure how they will hold up to being under sunlight, although you should never put any watercolor painting directly under sunlight. Now, they do have transparency ratings. They're all rated mostly A. There's 1, 2, 3 that are rated AA. So I would like to believe that because the AA are the yellow ochre, the Indian, and the burnt umber, that AA is a better rating than a regular A, which 9 of the colors only have an A rating, which they could be good because most of those are single pigment. I'm gonna have to really go check that, and I'm gonna put that information in the video description. That's something that I should have paid closer attention to before I even decided to shoot this video. So that color study led to a tutorial that did actually go up on the channel, which you can find this demo if you would like to, a bigger version, because I wanted to kind of do it with you guys and let you guys see how the paints perform, and to actually get out there a video with the paints before I decide to review them, although I have been working with them for quite some time. I enjoyed this one. I just kind of enjoyed the unusualness of painting a landscape in a circle. And the paints, they look they layer super well. If you let the previous layer dry, you can really get these paints to layer without lifting. You have to have some patience with them though. No doubt about that. For the price, not bad. I'm not gonna say that these are artist grade paints. I'm gonna say that they are a really decent student grade. They are a student grade that is so decent that they remind me of another student grade that is really decent. Now, I am not familiar with Phoenix like that, but I am familiar with another company. And this seems to be a popular opinion amongst people who use this brand of paints and who review this brand of paints. Now, mind you, everything that I'm saying is based on my view and my use. It just so happens that some of the things that I may say are going to coincide with some things you've heard some other people say too, because, well, they're true. For instance, the fact that these Phoenix paints remind me so much of Cotman that it is ridiculous. They remind me so much of Cotman all the way down to the coloration, the way the paints look, the way the paints feel, the way some of them granulate, the color shift. And ironically enough, the pigment numbers. Let me show you what I mean. So this is my swatch sheet of Winsor & Newton Cotman. And this is the swatch sheet of the Phoenix. So, lemon yellow, PY 175, PY 175, permanence A. Imagine that. Let's do that again. Cad yellow, PY 97, PY 65, PY 97, PY 65, permanence A. No freaking way. 2 for 2. Let's see if we can get 3 for 3. Yellow ochre, PY 92. Yellow ochre, PY 92. Permanence double A. So here again, direct correlation between what we see with Phoenix and what we see with Cotman. I am convinced. Cerulean blue. Now, they don't call this hue here, but this is cerulean blue. And if I'm not mistaken, it was hue. But PB15, permanence A. This is kind of, now the green convenience of the colors are different. Phoenix doesn't have a sap green. I'm not really crazy about Cotman sap green anyway. And then Cotman has Viridian Hue, which is PG7. And Phoenix has Emerald, which is PG7, and a mixture of PY 175, but again with the permanence A. And those colors are not too far off from each other. Now, the ultramarine blue being PB29 with the permanence of A is matching in both of them too. So, I mean, so at the end of the day, I really honestly believe that everything that has been said about the Phoenix being comparable to Cotman is true, is not something that people are just thinking. I mean, the comparisons are completely uncanny between the paints, even the way they perform. So, with all this said, with everything that we know, do I recommend or would I recommend the Phoenix brand of paints? Let me say this. I have not always been the biggest fan of Cotman. Don't get me wrong, I think that they are nice paints. I think they are a really nice student grade paint. There's nothing wrong with them. They make beautiful paintings. And I feel the same way about the Phoenix. I feel like the Phoenix are sold at a better price. And I feel like they have copied Cotman's formula. So when it comes down to it, I would probably suggest Phoenix over Cotman simply because of the price point. But I don't think that one is better than the other, definitely hands down. I believe, like, I personally feel like, regardless of anybody else's opinion, whether they ever change it or not, I believe that the Phoenix Artist quality and the Cotman, Winsor & Newton Cotman student quality are the exact same paints using the same formula or some variation of the same formulas. With that said, I would probably go with the Phoenix simply because you can get it cheaper. Think about it, 12 tubes of paint for 10 bucks. And these are 8 milliliter tubes, so that's quite a bit of paint for $10, whereas 20 you can get 12 Cotman paints, that little sketch travel thing. I've seen it in Hobby Lobby and Michael's for like 20 bucks. I think you can get it for around the same price on Amazon. So I just, you know, Phoenix is just a little bit cheaper and they're the same paint, so, you know, why not? So there you have it. Hopefully some of this information helped you out. This is not too long. Like I said, I'm trying to get over a cold. I just want to bring you guys some of the information on these paints that I had, especially since I have been using them. I do recommend them, you know. I recommend just as much as I would recommend Cotman. I mean, if you already have Cotman, I wouldn't run out and buy them. But if you were like trying to replace some of your Cotman paints, I think this is a more economical and affordable brand, and you're gonna get the same exact paints pretty much. So there you have it. Hopefully some of this information helped you guys out. If it did, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe if you have. Tell your friends and your family to subscribe to help us grow. Share the video. Remember that sharing is caring. Jump in the comment section. Let me know if you have these paints, if you've used them, what you think. Do you think they're like Cotman? Do you agree with myself and pretty much all other artists who have reviewed this paint? Head on over to the Thrifty Apprentice Facebook page and Instagram page and like us there. And remember, as I tell you guys all the time, just keep painting.